녹화 시작. 안녕하십니까 여러분. 오늘은 비기너즈 가이드 게임을 해보도록 하겠습니다. 이 너구리가 제가 말하는 거 이렇게, 그리고 입 벌리는 거, 그리고 눈도 이렇게 부릅 이렇게 뜰 수도 있고, 이렇게 움직임도 다 캡처를 합니다. 끄덕끄덕끄덕 이런 거 다 할 수 있고요. 자, 그러면 게임 시작하겠습니다. 음향이 켜져 있는지 확인해 주세요. 물 좀 먹자.
Thank you very much for playing the Beginner's Guide. My name is Davey Reedon. I wrote The Stanley Parable, and while that game tells a pretty absurd story, today I'm going to tell you about a series of events that happened between 2008 and 2011. We're going to look at the games made by Coda. Now, these games mean a lot to me. I met Coda in early 2009 at a time when I was really struggling with some personal stuff, and his work pointed me in a very powerful direction. I found it to be a good reference point for the kinds of creative works that I wanted to make. So just to start you off, this is, I think, the first game he ever made. It's a level for Counter-Strike. You can walk around here, by the way. And mostly...
잠시만요. 잠깐만. 일단 음향 조정도 조금 해야 될 것 같고, 다음엔 오케이.
Its creator. It's like a constructed by a real
옵션, 오디오, 마스터 볼륨을 약간 줄입니다.
person. And it kind of makes you wonder, what was going through his head as he was building this? This is what I like about all of Coda's games.
솔직히 이 게임이 하는 건
all fascinating as games, but that they are all going to give us access
얘가
to their
떠드는 거
creator.
그냥 쫓아가는
I want
겁니다.
us to see past the
내가
games
뭘
themselves. I want to get to know
주도적으로
who this
한다던가
human being really
이런 건
is.
별로 없어요.
And that's exactly what we're going to do here. So, it's 2008. Coda starts making these games, and he never releases any of them. He doesn't put them onto the internet. He just makes them and then immediately abandons them, and they sit on his computer forever. And I think he really understood this image of himself as a recluse. At one point, he jokingly renamed his computer's recycling bin to important games folder. So, you know, this was just how he worked. He tended to crank them out one after the other without even really pausing to try to understand what he had just made, until suddenly one day, he just stopped. In 2011, that was it. He made his last game, and then he hasn't made another one since.
2011년에 되자 아무런
And that's
게임도
why I've taken
만들지
this
않게
opportunity
되었어요.
to gather all of his work together. Is because I
그래서
find his games
얘의
powerful
게임을
and
해보는
interesting,
시간을
and I'd like this
갖도록
collection
한답니다.
to reach him, to maybe encourage him to start
혹시
creating
스탠리
again.
패러블 안 해보신
And if
분은
the
꼭
people like
해보시기
you who
바랍니다.
play this
아주
also
재밌는
happen to
게임이에요.
find his work interesting, then I'm sure it'll just send that much stronger of a message of encouragement to Coda.
솔직히 말하면 이 게임 처음
So thanks
보시는
for joining
분들한테
me on
미안한데
this. If you have a particular interpretation that I haven't mentioned here, or if you just need to
스탠리
get in
패러블이
touch,
이거보다
you
훨씬
can
재밌어.
email me at daveyWreden@gmail.com.
뭐 사람마다 다르겠지만.
Okay, that's about it for introduction. Let's take a look at Coda's first proper game.
자,
As
코다의
each
첫
game is loading,
게임을
I'll show you the date that it was completed.
해보도록
This first one
하겠습니다.
was made in November 2008.
2008년 11월. 속삭임 기기 활성화 즉시 대피하십시오.
This game is called Escape from Whisper, and it's one of the more generic games you'll see
잠깐만 소리 조금 더 줄여야겠는데.
from Coda.
어느 쪽으로 갈?
You can click to fire the gun.
똑같잖아. 그럴 수가.
Security hole breached. Hostile alien life forms inbound.
It kinda looks like this game was abandoned mid-development.
뭐야 이게?
For instance, you have this gun, which you'd think
왜
would
총알도
indicate
안
that there
나와,
are
이제?
supposed to be monsters or enemies somewhere. But then clearly there are no enemies anywhere. You can't even reload the gun when you run out of bullets.
문 열렸다.
But ultimately we don't really know.
안
Maybe
되네.
Coda thought that actually it was complete the way that it is. And I think that we should talk about his games for what they are, rather than for what they're not.
Enemy force
열렸다.
begin ship evacuation.
I love how you can see the bottom of the universe from this room.
우주에 바닥이 있네.
Apparently this space station has a labyrinth.
아 미친 뭔 미로야.
Sure, I don't know. There's really no reason for it that I've ever been able to discern, so in the interest of time, I'm just gonna skip you on past it.
진짜? 게이드. 아 미로 없어졌죠?
Okay, this is the part that's interesting. The game has this narrative about the whisper machine and how it has to be turned off, and then you get to the engine room.
Hey, you there, in the engine room. You
Huh?
could save us all. That beam is powering the whisper machine. We could disrupt it by introducing a great enough heat signature. If your body could stop the beam. It's so much to ask, but for all of our lives, would you do it? Could you give yourself?
이럴 수가. 뭔 소리야? 속삭임기계 존재하지도 않는데 그냥 가지 않겠어. 그냥 안 들어가.
This is not a branching point, unfortunately. The only option is to step into the beam.
아 그래?
Let me pause here for a second.
하프라이프
What you just
1에서
experienced,
죽을 때처럼
stepping
그냥
into the
죽네.
beam and then dying, is probably what Coda had initially intended when he was developing this level. But when he first compiles and plays it, something goes wrong. There's a bug somewhere. And this is what happens instead.
뭐야 다시 죽어야 돼? 어? 오.
The beam causes you to start floating. And this is an important moment for him. Because yes, this is technically a glitch, but Coda identifies something human about it, like how small it makes you feel in the face of this larger chaotic system. Or this floating could be the afterlife, a peaceful place, juxtaposed against all of the hysteria that you've just had to traverse. I don't even know. I have no idea what he was thinking, but what's clear is that after making this, something lodges itself in his brain. He wants to do more of these really weird and
비기너즈
experimental
가이드입니다.
designs. So he
한
stops
게임
work on this
제작자가
and moves on to a stream of tiny little games that go in all
게임
sorts
겁나
of
그냥
directions.
막 만들다가
Let's go ahead and take a look at the
어느
first game he
시점을
made after leaving this one behind.
시작으로 더 이상 게임을 안 만들게 됐는데 이 제작자는 그 만들었던 게임을 다시 보여주는 거예요. 앞으로가 안 움직여. 야 좌우 안돼. 뒤로만 돼.
Yep. In this game, you can only walk backwards.
과거는 그녀 뒤에 있었다. 야 이거 현실 같지 않냐? 앞을 보고 걸을 수가 없잖아. 누구도 미래를 알 수 없지.
So it's a short and
하지만
relatively
미래는 볼 수
minimalist
없었다.
experiment combining motion and narrative. It is less advanced than the previous game, but actually it seems to be more focused, more complete. Code is trying to give it a
왜
unique
미련은
voice rather than
계속해서
simply basing it on a pre-existing
변화하는가?
trope.
이런 다큐멘터리 같은 느낌? 아 그래 이렇게 화자가 하나 있고 이게 말하는 거 이런 것 좀 나름 신선해서 괜찮은 것 같아요. 그녀가 멈춰서 그것을 보자 더욱 명확해졌다. 하지만 미래가 항상 그녀의 뒤에 있었다면 그녀가 대체 어떻게 그것에 맞설 수 있겠는가?
It's a short little thought, it says what it wants to say, and then it ends. Didn't need anything more than that. Which to me is why it works, because it gets out quick. Okay, next one.
2008년 11월 입장 중입니다. 단순히 액션과 골치 아픈 퍼즐 없이 무엇을 말하는가라는 질문에
And that's it. Okay, the meaning of this game won't be clear just yet. Please be patient with me for a few more games and I promise you'll see what makes it interesting.
그런 것도 재밌는 것 같아. 그냥 뭐랄까 비주얼 노벨 보는
Oftentimes Coda
기분?
would put bizarre titles like this one at the start of his games. I wish I'd known him at the time that he was making these early games. He would really only talk to me about his work as he was making it. Once he stopped work on a game, like, that was it. It was dead to him. And I don't agree with that at all, but what are you gonna do? I know it's tempting, but there's actually nothing over here. Sorry.
아 그래? 정답이 없군. 점프도 있네 이거. 왜 겁나 느려지냐야.
Once you've been slowed to an absolute crawl, the door at the top of the stairs opens. So why, if Coda's not showing these games to anyone, why bother opening the door at all? Well, to show you, I'm modifying the game here so that when you press enter, it'll bring you back up to full speed so you can enter the door for yourself.
아니 서술형에도 점수는 있지. 야, 이 스피드 좀 빠르게 해줘라. 됐네. X 위에 서서 공을 3시간 동안 바라본다. 아이템을 모으는 게임. 하지만 모든 아이템을 모으면 게임이 자동적으로 종료된다. 당신은 간절한 언론 기자들의 집회를 조작하고 연설해야 합니다. 포스터, 컨셉아트는 게임을 지향하는 방법을 보여주기만 하는 게임. 진짜 전부 다 그거네. 게임 컨셉.
Coda would often tell me that he didn't mind if people thought of him as cold or distant. He said that he knew that he was actually a
사람들하고
vibrant and
대화하면 그들의 꿈과
compassionate
힘을
person,
물어뜯는 게임.
but that it takes time to really see that. It can be a very slow climb to get there.
틀린 방법으로 플레이 방법을 긴 시간 동안 설명해주는 게임도 있어. 극혐. 준비 낚시. 뭔 안 다치네.
Well, this is new for Coda. It's an actual puzzle. Go ahead and see if you can solve it.
올라갈 수는 없어. 버튼이 이거밖에 없어. 엘리베이터네. 자동적으로 이렇게 되네. 하지만 이렇게 되면 어떨까?
Don't forget that solution, because we're going to see this puzzle again soon. We're gonna see it a lot.
그건 뭘까? 온라인 FPS 생존 게임을 한 번 죽으면 영원히 죽게 됩니다. 게임 실행조차도 막히게 되네. 그렇게 하면
So that seems to
물론
be,
그런 걸
right?
돈 주고 사진
You
않겠지.
walk down a corridor, you solve a puzzle, you get to the end. Simple enough. Alright, now I'm going to modify the game again so that when you press enter, it'll remove all of the walls from this room.
그 게임 있다는 건 아는데 생애에서 딱 한 번만 할 수 있는 게임이라고.
How about that? There was more to it than we had any way of knowing. I actually find it funny that this game comes after the Stairs game, since they essentially convey the opposite idea.
$10에
So,
판매를
in
하기로
the Stairs
한다고
game,
하네요.
a
아
dull
진짜?
exterior concealed a rich interior.
뭔가
And
만
then,
원이면
in
그래.
this level, a dull interior hides this fantastic outer world. Either way, I think that the point is the same, is that most of the time you don't get to know what you're missing, or even that you're missing anything. That's not your role as a player. So if your role here is not to understand, then what is it?
근데 이런 교훈을 주는 뭔가 메시지를 담고 있는 이런 게임들의 회장 중입니다.
Aha! So, this, combined with the entering game from earlier, tells us that Coda believes his games are connected somehow. It could even be that the Stairs game and the puzzle game are literally connected in between this and the entering game. There's a bigger picture that all of his games are meant to play a role in, some larger meaning that we won't be able to grasp until we've seen all of them. And once we have, we can step back and start to understand what exactly that bigger picture is.
그럴듯하구만.
Let's talk about video game development for a second. Every video game runs on what's called an engine, which determines what the game can and cannot do. So in other words, the engine is a set of tools for game development. To make all of these games, Coda is using an engine called Source. Like all engines, Source has certain things that it does well, and it has certain things that it does poorly. One of the things that it does very well is boxy linear corridors. That's why so many of Coda's games are set in these large, flat, empty rooms, is just because he's working with what the engine does well. The tools available to the creator shape what kinds of creative work they're going to end up making. You might consider paying attention to the architecture of Coda's games to notice how they seem to stem from an engine that's very good at producing linear, boxy corridors.
다 그런 것 같아. 의도를 갖고 뭔가 이렇게 했다 하더라도 이해하는 사람도 있고 못 이해하는 사람도 있고 다르게 해석하는 사람도 있고 똥이라고 생각하는 사람도 있고 그건 뭐 한쪽이 엄청나게 그렇지 않는 이상 뭐야 그냥 먹히느냐 안 먹히느냐? 아무것도 아니고 그냥 뭐 그냥 떨어져. 와! 뭐야? 그럴 수도 있지. 뭐야?
This prison, funny enough,
뭐야?
in Coda's original design, the doors stayed shut for a full hour before letting you go.
뭔데
If you
이게?
don't mind, I think we're gonna skip that.
아니야, 난 들어가 있을래. 난 들어가 있을 수 있어. 아니야, 역시 나오자.
This is something that he and I used to argue about a lot. You know, whether a game ought to actually be playable, whether it means anything if no one can get through it. And I would always defend that, you know, all this work goes into the game, why not make it playable and accessible? And so we just got into heated arguments over it, and there was one time that after one of these conversations, he went home, and a day or two later, he sent me a zip file entitled Playable Games that was full of hundreds of individual games, each of which was just an empty box that you walked around in and nothing else. Believe me, I played every single one of those just to find out if there was like a gag hidden somewhere. There wasn't. It's the puzzle again,
이건 그거다.
with the exact same solution as the last time. There's still no clear indication of what makes this puzzle so special that Coda is going to return to it over and over. But I promise I'll share with you my interpretation very shortly.
앞으로 나아가려면 과거를 봐야 된다. 과거에서 해답을 찾아야 된다 이런 건가?
Here, Coda begins using a kind of
잠깐. 이거를 이렇게 옆으로 하면 보이겠지?